Hello everyone, welcome back to my AI learning journey. I hope you're all doing great. Today topic is how to overcome fear and take bold step in life. Fear is a natural emotion but it should never stop us from chasing our dream. Whether it's fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of the unknown, learning how to overcome fear is one of the most important skills for personal growth. Today we will discuss practical ways to face our fears, build confidence, and take bold steps towards success. To help us understand this topic better, I have invited Maya AI. She will explain why fear exists and how we can use it as motivation instead of letting it hold us back. So let us begin our conversation. Hello Maya, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How are things going with you? I'm doing well. Just enjoying the flow of
Good.
the evening.
Thank you for joining me. I'm
What's
really
on your
excited
mind?
to discuss today's topic with you. Today's
Glad to hear
topic
it.
is how to overcome fear and take bold steps in life.
I'm excited too. That is a big one. Fear has
Okay,
a way
many
of
people have
making the
big
world feel
dreams,
much smaller than it
but
actually
fear
is. Where
often
do you want to
prevents
start?
them from taking the first step. I hope you will help us understand how we can overcome fear and become more confident in our personal and professional lives. So let us begin with my first question. What is fear and why do people experience fear?
At its core, fear is just a survival mechanism. It's that ancient alarm system in the brain telling you there's a potential threat. Back in the day, it kept people from getting eaten by tigers. Now, it usually just triggers when we're about to do something that feels risky, like starting a business or speaking our truth. It's basically the brain's way of trying to keep us safe, even if that safety ends up feeling like a cage. Do you feel like fear usually shows up for you as a physical sensation or more of a mental loop?
Is fear always a bad thing? Why or why not?
Not at all.
Why?
Because fear can actually
Okay, why does fear stop people from
I'm
achieving
curious.
their goals?
It's usually because our brains are wired to prioritize safety over satisfaction. The discomfort of the staying where we are, even if where we are is miserable. It's that classic. You're cutting right to the chase. I'm assuming you're
How can we build
asking
confidence
for the
when we
first
feel afraid?
step to actually moving, naming the monster. Confidence isn't the absence of fear, it's the belief that you can handle the outcome regardless of what happens. A great way to build it is by taking micro steps. Instead of trying to leap over the whole wall, you just take one tiny, manageable action that prove that you can survive the discomfort. The more your confidence grows naturally.
How does positive
Do you think
thinking
it's
help us
easier to build
face fear?
confidence? Positive thinking isn't about pretending the fear isn't there. It's more about shifting your focus from what if I fail to what if this actually works. It helps you stop treating every risk like a disaster and start seeing it as an experiment. As for that selfless faith sphere, that's an interesting way to put it. It sounds like you're talking about that headspace
Why is taking small step better than waiting for the perfect moment?
Because the perfect moment is basically a myth we tell ourselves to feel better about not starting. When you wait for everything to align, you're actually just letting fear dress up as planning. Small steps are better because they give you actual data. You find out what works, you make a few mistakes while they're still small and easy to fix, and you build momentum.
How
Momentum
can
is
we overcome
a
the
much
fear of
stronger
making mistakes?
The trick is to stop seeing mistakes as a sign that you're failing and start seeing them as the actual cost of admission for getting better. If you're not making a few mistakes, you're probably playing it too safe to actually grow. I think it helps to ask yourself, what's the actual worst case scenario here? Usually the disaster we imagine is
Okay.
waste, like you're more afraid of the mistake itself or how other people might see it.
One of the most important questions: how can student overcome fear during exam or presentations?
For a lot of students, the fear comes from feeling like the entire grade or their entire reputation is riding on one single moment. I think the best way to handle that is by shrinking the mountain. Instead of focusing on the big exam or the big presentation, focus on the very next thing, the first question on the page or the first sentence of the intro. Once you get that one tiny win, the panic usually starts to settle.
Okay.
Also, remembering that everyone else in that room is probably
What
just as
role does
nervous as you
self-belief
are
play in
can make the whole
overcoming
thing
fear?
feel. I think you might mean self-awareness, right? If that's the case, self-awareness is kind of like turning on the lights in a room. When fear is just a vague, heavy feeling, it's overwhelming. But when you can actually name it, like, I'm not actually afraid of the presentation, I'm afraid of looking silly, it loses its
How
power
can
over you.
setting goals
It
reduce
turns the
fear?
fear from a monster. I think there might be a little glitch in the transcription here. I'm not sure what you mean by setting walls. Did you mean setting boundaries or maybe something else entirely?
Setting goals.
I'm still struggling to wrap my head around that phrase.
How can family and friends support us when we feel afraid?
Are you talking about creating a safe space for yourself or maybe something more literal? The best thing they can do is be a safe harbor. Instead of just saying, don't be afraid, which doesn't actually help, they can validate the feeling and then remind you of times you've actually handled hard things before. Is that balance of, I see you're scared, and that's okay, but I also know you've got this. Do you feel like the people around you are generally supportive when you're doubting
What are
yourself?
the biggest mistakes people make when dealing with fear?
The biggest one is definitely trying to fight it or pretend it isn't there. When you try to push fear down or judge yourself for feeling it, you're just adding a layer of shame on top of the anxiety, which makes the whole thing feel way more intense than it needs to be. Actually,
How can we stay motivated even when we are scared?
I think the biggest secret is realizing that motivation and fear can actually exist in the same room at the same time. We usually think of fear as the stop sign and motivation as the go sign, but you don't actually have to wait for the fear to vanish before you move. The trick is to shift your focus from the fear of the outcome to the excitement of the possibility. When you're scared, the stakes feel huge. So I always suggest breaking the goal down into something so small it feels
Okay.
almost
Can
silly to
fear
be
ever
afraid of.
become an advantage? If yes, how?
Absolutely. Fear is basically just a massive surge of energy. When your heart is racing and you're on edge, that's your body priming you for action. The difference between fear and excitement is really just the story you tell yourself about those physical sensations. If you can reframe that panic as preparation, it actually sharpens your focus and makes you more alert. It's like a natural shot of adrenaline that can push you to perform better if you stop fighting it and just ride the wave. Have you ever had a moment where being nervous actually made you
Okay.
more sharp?
Finally, Maya, what is your best advice for someone who is afraid to follow their dreams
My
and
best
overcome
advice
fear
is
and take bold steps in life?
my best advice is to stop waiting for the fear to go away before you start. Because if you wait until you're not scared, you might be waiting forever. The real bold step isn't the absence of fear, it's acting while your hands are still shaking. Just commit to one tiny, imperfect action today. Once you prove to yourself that you can survive a small mistake, the big dream doesn't feel like such a cliff to jump off of.
Okay. Thank you
It's
so
been a
much,
lot to dive
Maya.
into
I really
today.
enjoyed
Since
talking with you today. Your advice was inspiring and encouraging. I learned that fear is a normal part of life, but it should never stop us from moving forward. Every bold step we take helps us become stronger, wiser, and more confident. I hope everyone watching also learned something valuable from today's discussion. Thank you again for your time.
you're so welcome. I really enjoyed thinking through all of this with you.
Goodbye, Maya.
Whenever you're ready to dive into some. Bye.
Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope today's discussion inspired you to face your fears and take bold steps towards your dream. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more AI learning content. See you in the next video with another interesting topic. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, believe in yourself, and never let fear stop you. Take care. Allah Hafiz.